Do you support Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
Affordable Care Act.
And why is that?
Well, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Obama, so I don't support him in the Obama things that he's got going on. I'm actually really excited for President-elect Donald Trump, so.
Right. So you don't like anything Obama does, and you prefer the Affordable Care Act?
Absolutely.
Do you support Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
I support Obamacare.
So if you were a senator and you could vote today, you would vote to keep Obamacare instead of the Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
Do you support Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act?
I guess the Affordable Care Act?
And why do you prefer the Affordable Care Act over Obamacare?
I'm not really sure. My girlfriend supports Trump, so I go with whatever she says.
What is the main difference between Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act?
One is you pay, and then the other one is Obama pays for you.
Right, Obama pays, pretty big difference.
Pretty big difference.
I believe that the Obamacare, the premiums are too high, so people end up paying more.
Right.
So I believe in the Affordable Care Act.
And so the Affordable Care Act is more affordable than Obamacare?
Right, correct.
Right.
Which is obvious based on the name.
It's in the name, right.
Right.
Why do you like the Affordable Care Act more than Obamacare?
Because I don't like Obama.
But you like the Affordable Care Act?
Yeah.
What if I told you Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing?
All of these Trump voters admitting that they didn't realize that Obamacare was the Affordable Care Act when they vehemently hated Obamacare is one of the most openly racist things I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't understand how they don't have the critical thinking and the thought process to just know not to say that out loud because of just how simply racist it is that they were so against Obamacare just because they associated it with Obama, which was the point. That's why Republicans coined Obamacare, so that racist people would hate it without understanding what it was. And that's exactly what they're admitting happened by saying they hated Obamacare and they thought Trump was going to get rid of Obamacare, but they have the Affordable Care Act and they didn't realize they were the same thing. I don't wish that they would keep it in, but it's insane to me that they don't have like the maybe 2 or 3 step thought process that tells them don't share that out loud because you are self-exposing that you are super racist.
I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new beautiful healthcare.
24 million Americans signed up for the Affordable Care Act per February 2026. And now President Trump has said he wants to completely abolish the Affordable Care Act simply because he hates former President Barack Obama. Now, I Googled how many Republicans are on there, and it's about 12 million people. Look, guys, all I can say is there's 24 million people that depend on the Affordable Care Act for their health insurance because healthcare costs have gotten so exorbitant that you just can't handle it. You can't not have insurance anymore. And of course, Donnie Darko has decided that he wants to get rid of anything that pays the American people a union wage like TSA, and he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which makes insurance companies give people with pre-existing conditions insurance. Man, is this winning?
Racism will be the end of America. So they don't like Obamacare because of who it was named after, but they like Affordable Care Act, not remembering that Affordable Care Act was nicknamed by the Republicans, Obamacare, as a slur against Obama. And a lot of people have come out to comment saying how they benefited from the Obamacare. And I can read some of the comments. Like this one says, "My ex-husband would have died without Obamacare. This devastates me of what is happening." Someone comments, "The moment my life and legs were saved, thank and forever grateful, President Obama." So let's get to see more reactions. Then I'll come back with more commentary. And thank you so much for your support. Please share and subscribe, all right? Let's dive into it.
Hold up. Y'all actually didn't know Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are one and the same? Y'all made up the name. Y'all made it up. Y'all started calling it Obamacare. It had a name first. The name has always been the Affordable Care Act. Then y'all named it Obamacare. Did you forget? See, this is how I know y'all just hating indiscriminately. Y'all don't even know what y'all be hating. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he was black. That's what y'all do like. Why y'all ain't just look it up? Why you ain't just look it up? I guess so. Y'all crying on the internet talking about your health care is about to be taken away and you don't know what you're gonna do. But when that man said he doesn't have a plan, he has a concept of a plan for health care. Why didn't that scare you? Why didn't that scare you? Oh, nah, y'all are stupid. Oh, y'all need to be studied by people who are not stupid. You know, like those people you didn't believe during COVID, the scientists. That was the word I was looking for. Ooh, shit, sorry. The stupid almost caught me just now.
People are breaking down on TikTok because they just realized Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. The heartbreaking part, so many have pre-existing conditions. One man admitted he voted for Trump without knowing it was Obamacare that allowed his mother with stage 4 cancer to get treatment. This is what happens when misinformation wins out over facts. So we've got Trump voters out here with pre-existing conditions who are out there crying because they just figured out that Obamacare, it's actually the Affordable Care Act. Seriously? These are the same folks who just voted to repeal the very law that's been helping them out. It's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? Like, they've been living life thinking they're good, all thanks to, you guessed it, Obamacare. This situation is a classic reminder of why it's so important to stay informed about what's really going on. I mean, understanding these things shouldn't be rocket science. Google is free. Don't Google after the election, Google before. But we've got all the information at our fingertips, but some folks still don't bother to dig a little deeper. It's frustrating to see people get caught up in political rhetoric without really knowing what they're voting for. At the end of the day, it's about your health and your future. You need to be smarter and more aware so we don't end up crying over something we could have understood better in the first place. Let's make sure we're all in the know the next time it counts in 2028.
Today, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that he wants to completely get rid of the Affordable Care Act. I'll just give you a heads up. Before the Affordable Care Act was passed, 50 million Americans did not have health insurance. That is a large majority of our population. Just a friendly reminder, when he got rid of affordable care tax credits, he said a new plan would be coming in 2 weeks. What do you think about getting rid of Affordable Care Act and how would that affect you? And let me ask you, where are your tax dollars going? What are you getting for the taxes that you're paying in?
So MAGA, you're upset now because now you're finding out that Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing. You voted to get rid of Obamacare. I guess because you thought Obamacare was only for you know who, not knowing that the Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are one and the same. It was the Republicans who told you and gave the Affordable Care Act the nickname Obamacare. They did it to scare you, and you fell for it. So you voted out of hate to try to get rid of something out of hate. But now you're not going to have health insurance because he has been trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act since his first time in office. And now that he has no guardrails, it's gone. He's going to try everything in his power to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. So all of you who voted to get rid of Obamacare, you just lost your damn insurance. Oh well, I guess you live and you learn.
We have breaking news right now. Donald Trump is now calling for the complete repeal of the Affordable Care Act. In a post on his Truth Social today, he called for it to be replaced by something different. This, in a lot of ways, is yet another political issue for Republicans heading into a midterm year that is already looking bad for Republicans. No American, very few Americans, want to repeal the Affordable Care Act, especially those who are on the Affordable Care Act and rely on the Affordable Care Act to have insurance coverage. And yet now the president is saying that the, quote, Unaffordable Care Act must be replaced by payments being made directly to the people so that they can buy their own health care. But experts have said that this new system proposed, A, it's not going to pass Congress anytime soon. The repeal of the Affordable Care Act probably won't either. But B, won't actually help people who need healthcare the most. So people who are having surgery, people who have pre-existing conditions. That direct payment system won't actually cover everything that they need. So lots of stuff happening. Spread the word.
Donald Trump and the Republicans' new healthcare plan is just Obamacare rebranded with Trump's name on it. It does exactly the same thing that Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act by its real name, did. But Republicans stripped everything out of it and intentionally broke the Affordable Care Act so they could come back and say, look what we did. And that's exactly what they're doing. It just took them significantly longer than they planned on. So Donald Trump's healthcare plan, that he's saying, look, we're going to drive all of these costs down. We're going to do these direct pays straight to the consumer. All of the things that are in that plan are directly out of the Affordable Care Act. Republicans never come up with a new idea. They just break somebody else's idea and then put it back into effect and claim success, claim that they did these things for the American people. And it's important that we know they don't govern. They are obstructionists that always break things and then try to take credit when they repair in exactly the same way that something was.
Under Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, about 30 million Americans got access to healthcare for the first time in 2010. Millions of people who previously couldn't afford insurance or were denied coverage because of pre-existing conditions had access to Medicare. Families didn't have to choose between paying rent or paying for life-saving treatment. Children with asthma, diabetes, or other chronic conditions could finally get the care they needed without bankrupting their parents. And here is a kicker. Many of the same people who criticize this law and the man behind it are the ones who benefit from it. That disconnect shows how deep political branding and racial bias can go. People oppose Obamacare as a political statement, yet when you strip away the name and look at the law itself, they support it because it helps them. This isn't just about health insurance. It's a mirror reflecting a larger problem in America. It's about how deeply racism is embedded in political discourse. Policies are debated, not always on merit, but on who created them. The Affordable Care Act was a groundbreaking law designed to save lives, expand coverage, and protect Americans. But because it carried Obama's name, some reacted with hatred, despite standing to gain from it. Before Obamacare, insurance companies could deny coverage for pre-existing conditions. That meant people with diabetes, cancer, or even something like a previous accident could be left without care. Obamacare changed that. Now people could have security, stability, and hope. That's real tangible progress. So what does this teach us? People should understand policies for what they do, not just who they are attached to. Second, recognize the role of racial bias in shaping opinions. And third, acknowledge the human impact. Millions of Americans' lives improved because of a law that some opposed simply because of who enacted it. If we let racial prejudice or political branding cloud our judgment, we risk rejecting policies that could help us, our families, and our communities. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.